Alright, GreymanX6 here again, and it's time to start shooting this video that's long overdue. At the moment, it's the very beginning of September, but these are the pickups for May and June. Yeah, I am way behind. And a lot of these things I've just been itching to unbox, so let's just get started. This is that Target exclusive X Factor uniform, Jean Grey. I went ahead and ordered it online, and then only a week later they started appearing at my local Target, like 8 or 9 right on the shelf. Ugh. And yeah, this is the one that's become infamous because someone screwed up and didn't submit the right artwork to Hasbro's. It was supposed to have yellow boots. You can even see it on the promotional artwork here. Oh well, I guess it gives me an excuse to, I don't know, sculpt boot cups with epoxy and paint it yellow or something. But anyway, let's just go ahead and get Jeannie out of the package. Yep, we got Jean out of the box, and she's looking really good, and I already swapped out the head sculpt because I don't really like this face. It's gonna focus? No, of course not. Just as well. I don't like her with the hood down, and it just, she looks mean. I got plenty of ladies on the shelves who are total sourpusses. We can have Jeannie smiling, and it also beats this face sculpt with her hair down. This is Jean from the Love Triangle 3-pack. Looks like she's stoned, or bored, or probably both. And besides, I can't really secure the telekinetic effect headpiece onto that one. It's kind of held in place by a lock of her hair. Speaking of her hair, might as well let it down because got a lot of nice detail here, and I think there might be a wash. I'm not 100% sure, but it still looks good. And another reason I made a point of picking up this jean, it's not because of nostalgia for the X Factor run with the original X-Men or anything. It's just way better articulation. Plus pinless. These joints feel nice and solid, not gummy at all, and since it's been sitting around in Florida weather for a while, don't have to heat her up. The reverse ab crunch is working great. Great arch forward and back. Decent amount of rocking in the diaphragm cut. Now the butterfly joints, they feel kind of rough. They're not the greatest. Kind of like the No Way Home, Friendly Neighborhood, Toby Spider-Man. But it works. Again, we got double jointed elbows that are pinless, which don't take it for granted how that's finally the standard for the ladies now. And I already swapped out her fisted right hand she came preloaded with one of her open hands. And they can hinge side to side. Got the bicep swivel. Got a thigh cut there. No boot cut, which would have been nicely hidden if they'd bothered to do the proper sculpting for the boots, but whatever. When I get her on the shelf, probably hide the lack of yellow boots anyway, and I'm definitely gonna swap the Jim Lee 90s style jean out for this one. I mean, I grew up in the 80s and early 90s. The 90s X-Men cartoon is the whole reason I finally dipped my toe into comics back then, but I'm not that wedded by nostalgia to all the Jim Lee 90s looks. I mean, this one has better articulation, better face sculpt, the works. I'm probably going to sell this and the Love Triangle Wolverine that I still have. But if they came out with that one run of X-Men Red, that version of Jean Grey, which kind of looked like this, but had a bit more armored, rugged look, like she's ready for business, that I could go for. So, now that we got Marvel Girl out of the way, and before we move on to the wide, wonderful world of their esteemed competition, DC, let's address the giant robot alien warlord in the room, Megatron. This is a very old toy. This is, in particular, the Siege version of this mold of Megatron. This thing's been used many, many times before, but I never had any of them. And I wanted to go ahead and pick this version of Megatron to go with this version of Optimus Prime. Yes, this is the reactivate version from the game that we're never gonna see released, but the way this Optimus Prime looked all badass and rugged, I wanted a rugged-looking Megatron that still had that G1 flair to go with it, and well, this version from that Netflix show, that seemed to work. So these two are now standing together on my computer desk, and they just look great together, even if Optimus scale's a bit too big in comparison. And I didn't want that new SS86 Megatron because he scaled way too big, and again, I prefer this look. Close to the G1 we remember, but not quite. So this is actually the second Megatron I've ever owned. The first one, just like with Optimus Prime, I didn't have one of him for a long time. This Combiner Wars one from 2015, this is what represents Megatron on my shelf, because I have everything bunched together, so I need masterpiece scale stuff for Transformers to tower over everyone else. But I'm starting to consider getting the third-party oversized knockoff of this Megatron, because he works so well. He has that G1 flair, and he turns into a tank, even though this Combiner Wars one is semi-realistic, turning into what resembles an M1 Abrams tank. This guy, not so much, but let's show ya. Yeah, this Megatron may not turn into a tank that exists in real life, but he turns into a tank. Looks good enough. Again, like Optimus Prime in the Reactivate line. Looks nice and rugged. Looks like he's barreled through a whole bunch of stuff. Full speed ahead, damn the torpedoes, which fits Megatron's personality. The only thing I don't like is got these wheels on the bottom, and oh, look at him, he's just poking his little head out. Kind of reminds me of how he poked his eyes out in his Transformers Prime version. But anyway, got little wheels here, while this thing, the Combiner Wars Masterpiece Scales one, has actual treads. That's another reason why I still favor this one. Not only does he turn into what kind of looks like a realistic tank, just silver, he's got actual treads. Oh, Hasbro, one day you'll give me something else like this, but for now, I'm happy with this Megatron on my shelf, and this one on my computer desk. Alright, time to move on to the stuff from DC, and here's one I've been meaning to unbox as well. Now, this is a very old figure, dating back over a couple years to, of course, the Blue Beetle movie, but back then I saw this in stores and thinking, oh, that looks awesome. Too bad it's not in a scale I can use, and I really don't collect McFarlane. But now that I've kind of been bitten by the McFarlane bug, so to speak, just as their time with the license is ending, I figured might as well grab it. I mean, he looks awesome. In the package there, you can see the dry brushing, the detail on the wings and everything, so damn it, let's get Amy out of there. And here we have McFarlane's Blue Beetle out of the package. And oh yeah, we have the trading card no one gives a shit about, really. We got the stand people even give less of a shit about. And all its extra hands. We got a peace sign. Got a thumbs up. Got an open hand. And what do we got here? Oh, pointing. Alright, lots of options for expressive hand gestures. But of course, you need to buy that other Blue Beetle figure that's pretty much just like this, so you can get like the Mega Buster and Cloud Stripe's Buster Sword. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that, since this is pretty good, even though it's been sitting in a box for a couple years and it's pretty warped. Guess I'll have to borrow a hairdryer or something to straighten these out. But again, this looks really good. There's a lot of stuff you can knock McFarlane for, like not enough female figures. Get Cheetah in this version of Cheetah before your license runs out. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And of course, there's practically no hunch for it, even though Blue Beetle seems to be better than most in that regard. But just look at them. The metallic paint, the dry brushing on the silvery black bits. That's a nice face sculpt. You got like an expressive eyes, even if he can't open his mouth like in the comics. And it's got really good articulation. Just standard McFarlane stuff, but it's really good. The hip joints aren't nice and tight. Nice ratchet. Double jointed knee works perfect. The ankle pivot is kind of wonky, but you can still twist, go back and forth. Got the toe articulation. Lots of rotation in the arm. This rubbery pauldron piece, make sure it doesn't get in the way. Double jointed elbows, wrist balls, do the wrist ball stuff. The head seems the tilting. The head feels rough, the articulation there, but otherwise it's good. And of course, can't move the wings all that much, but yeah, Cheetah, Snart, really? Don't do this to me right now. So, for a quick comparison, here's all the other live-action DC McFarlane figures I have. Christian Bale in Batman Begins, Gal Gadot's DCE Wonder Woman, and classic Christopher Reeve Superman. And I think I'm going to add this Blue Beetle to this display because, as you can see, each of the Trinity come from different cinematic universes, and this Amy Reyes is supposed to be from James Gunn's DCU, and I really hope this Blue Beetle is used again because I don't care what anyone says, I love that new Superman. I think it's a great start. Don't even at me. And also for comparison, this is the old Mattel DCUC Blue Beetle 6-inch scale. You can see this is more comic accurate. It's even got the mouth, which the movie version never did, but they're very close, and if McFarlane had done this in 6-inch scale, I would have been all over this, but I'll be happy if Mattel eventually does this sort of thing again. And speaking of DC stuff before McFarlane's current run with the license, I brought out the old DCUC Cheetah as well, along with their later rebirth version of Wonder Woman. But the real star is what I picked up a few months ago. We have the DC Essentials version of Cheetah. Usually these are too big to scale with 6-inch stuff, but Barbara Minerva here is just as tall as this rebirth Wonder Woman, making her perfect. I would have liked to have her with some scraps of clothing because the Barbie doll look is kind of off-putting for Cheetah, but whatever, you can't have everything. You got so much else. You got a lot of range in the shoulder joint. You got bicep swivel there, finally got to move. Little stiff, but you got double jointed elbows, even if they have pins. Straighten that out. Twist and hinge in the wrists. Got thigh cut, ball jointed hips. What-de-doo. Oh, you only got a diaphragm joint, no waist cut or anything, but you got a lot of range there. Double jointed knees as well. A boot cut even. Ankle pivot. And even the tail is kind of articulated without being all bendy and stuff. This one doesn't have that. And head articulation is kind of limited because of the hair. And of course you got the necklace and the belt piece are all floaty, but whatever. I don't know, even if they do an updated Cheetah, Mattel, when they get the license back, this is good enough. Even with the pins, it just looks so pristine and articulates so well. This is going to be a Cheetah that ages gracefully. The same cannot be said of the DCUC Captain Cold, which is way too short compared to this Wonder Woman, which again scales perfectly with most of my Marvel Legends stuff. he actually scales better with this much smaller DC Icons Rebirth Batman and this Mattel version of New 52 Wonder Woman, which is really disappointing because Captain Cold is such an iconic, not only Flash villain, but DC villain in general, and it just seems that there still isn't one in just the right scale for a standard 6-inch display. And to drive the point home further, here's the DC-UC Captain Cold with all the other versions of Captain Cold I have. Look at this, I'm just catching colds all the time. This is the one I was using on my display for so long, standing in for a comic version. Wentworth Miller's Captain Cold from the Flash TV show, and I still love this figure. All the detail, the head sculpt, with the dry brushing on his cold gun, decent articulation, even got double jointed knees. Not so much with the elbows, of course, because he's got this coat on, but yeah. Except for not having a smirk to capture how Wentworth Miller stole every scene he was in, this was a pretty good Captain Cold. But he was a little too big to really be in a 6-inch display, so I was really disappointed when I got this Captain Cold, this DC-UC one. He scaled too small. And again, we have the Page Punchers McFarlane one, and I actually found another one of the collector's edition on a discount at Best Buy, so I was able to open this one. This is another example of McFarlane figure, even though it's not in the scale I want for DC, it's just too awesome looking to ignore. Oh yeah, that smirk, details, even though it was mostly reused from this one. Got some problems, not much twist in the hip. This part of the coat kind of hinders articulation, but he's really good. Only complaint I have is that this holster is kind of just for decoration, while this one actually opens and can store the cold gun. But anyway, when McFarlane loses the license and DC picks up the mantle again, I hope they get to a good Captain Cold with all the modern day articulation and features we expect in the proper scale. Alright, time to start winding things down, and before we move on from action figures though, I'm going to show this off. I deboxed it on camera. We had a Funko Pop of all things. We have Symbiotized Invisible Woman, which is also a bobblehead. Normally I don't collect these sort of things, but I decided to make an exception, and I'm glad I did, because after seeing that really good Fantastic Four movie on top of a good Superman movie, yeah, Marvel's First Family is all the rage again, and I already have one Funko Pop at work that I got for a really, really steep discount one free comic book day, Yara Flor from DC Comics, basically the newest Wonder Girl. So now we got this Symbiotized Invisible Woman to keep her company. Now let's get on to gaming pickups. Oh boy, Gradius, the Interstellar Assault for Game Boy. Today's youth with their Switches, those little cards that pack so much of a graphical punch, they'd probably turn up their noses today and just be completely, like, flummoxed when you try to explain to them going to, like, Babbage's or Electronics Boutique, how these little cards with just simple black and white games just fired up to your imagination. But whatever. This is also weird because the previous game of the sword on the Game Boy, it used the old English name Nemesis. But for this one, this was supposed to be called Nemesis 2, and it was, I think, in Japan, but they remarketed it as Gradius for the Western release. It's like, whatever, but it's a really good game, and it starts out differently, kind of like with a cutscene with your fleet being ambushed, and you got to evade this thing as you dive into an asteroid field, and then the game begins proper. It's good stuff. Even though I am not very good at shooters, especially Gradius. I did beat the original one on NES, but I kinda save-scummed by making a save state at the end of each level. Not every 5 seconds like I had to do with Gradius 2. And oh yeah, came with the instruction booklet. Now this is taking me back. Sometimes just looking through the instruction booklet and seeing the artwork, it was as much of the experience as playing the actual game. Sucks that you don't really get that anymore. It's to save trees, and it saves other costs, like indie developers having to make this sort of thing when their costs are pretty much, they're on a shoestring budget as it is, but whatever. Oh, I also found this at a collector's show. I really don't have much in the way of snowboarding games except SSX Tricky on the GameCube, so might as well. And someone I subscribe to, Paulisthebest3uk, who of course is in the United Kingdom, during his month of doing N64 games, he showed this off, and it's looked really fine. I'll give it a shot. Besides, I hadn't got myself another N64 game in quite a while. Okay, and latest instance in beefing up my physical media collection, since streaming is a Wild West landscape these days, found this. The only ones I've seen 007 movies are Pierce Brosnan's. I only seen the first 2, so when I'm ready, I'll have this one, The World Is Not Enough. I heard Die Another Day is really, really assy, but hopefully this will deliver enough chills and thrills. And last bit of DC stuff. Yeah, the whole Dawn of DC initiative. Before that we had Infinite Frontier, now we have All In. It's a pick a marketing gimmick and stick with it, DC. But yeah, this basically introduced the Blue Beetle back when his movie was about to come out, and I think that's the comic version of Victoria Cord, the villain in the movie. I'm not sure. Anyway, when this Dawn of DC initiative started, I completely skipped over it, focusing on my main ones, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, all that jazz, so catch up with this one, why not? A few months ago, I did watch the Blue Beetle movie again, and it remains a solid, fun experience, so might as well see what he's up to in the comics. And that's it for May and June. See you with another pickup video sooner, rather than later, hopefully.